If you've ever wondered why some C1 students pass and others don't, it often comes down to knowing these specific phrases that appear in exam after exam. I've been analysing loads of different past papers, and today I'm sharing with you the exact phrasal verbs, phrases, and collocations that the Cambridge exam love to test. By the end of this video, you'll recognise the patterns and you'll know exactly what examiners are looking for. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the phrasal verbs, the collocations, and the fixed expressions that you're most likely to find in the C1 use of English exam. And these phrases and expressions are also really useful for you for your writing exam and for your English in general. So let's take a look. Okay, first let's break it down into high frequency phrasal verbs. Come across. Come across has two meanings. The first being encounter. So while I was researching, I came across an interesting article. When I was in the supermarket, I came across my friend. It can also mean to seem or to appear. So she comes across as very confident. She comes across as very nice. They come across as very friendly. You can use it in these two different ways. Another very common phrasal verb in the C1 exam is bring about. The meaning here is to cause or to make happen. So the new law caused changes become the new law brought about changes. Do not confuse this with bring up. So that means to mention something, to bring something up in conversation, or to raise children. So they are different phrasal verbs. Very, very common, put up with. Put up with means to tolerate. I cannot put up with that noise. Whereas put down to means to attribute to. I put his success down to hard work. Live up to. To live up to something means to meet your expectations or to meet certain standards. The film didn't live up to my expectations. The film didn't live up to the hype. This is very common in part four. You could have something like the product was as good as expected. The product lived up to expectations. Get round to. To get round to something is to finally find time for something. I must get round to calling him. I must get round to studying for my C1 exam. Get round to plus the verb in the ing form. This is probably the most common phrasal verb that I've seen, along with put up with, come up with. So to come up with something is to think of something, to think of an idea or a solution. For example, I need to come up with a birthday present for my mum. I need to think of what to buy my mum for her birthday. I need to come up with an idea. So to put something off is to postpone or discourage. They can have two different meanings here. So don't put off your studies would be don't postpone studying. Whereas the smell put me off eating. The smell of something made me feel, oh, it made me feel a bit disgusted. I didn't want to eat. So those are two meanings of put off. Put off and call off can often be used interchangeably, whereas put off is more of a postpone, call off is more cancel and not really mention when you're going to reschedule it. For example, they called off the meeting due to bad weather. You could equally say they put off the meeting due to bad weather. Have a look at how this shows up in the exam. So here we've got a part four use of English, which says, we'll have to postpone the meeting until next week, as a lot of people are on leave, said the manager. You need to use off. Oh, it's a phrasal verb. Is it put off? Is it call off? In this case, it could be either. The manager said the meeting until the following week, as a lot of people were on leave. Could you do this? What would you put in that gap there? Think about it for a moment. Pause if you need to. And on the next slide, I'll show you the answer. The manager said the meeting would have to be called off or put off until the following week. Naturally, in spoken English, I would be more inclined to say put off until the following week, postponed, whereas called off will be cancelled. But I looked at the the marking sheet, the answers, and in this case, both would be accepted. What else have we got? We've got to set off, to begin a journey, or to trigger something. So we set off early to arrive at the airport on time, or the alarm set off panic. So the sound of the alarm triggered panic in people. Next, let's take a look at essential collocations. Oops. To take into account or to take into consideration is to consider something. I was supposed to remove the answer from here so that you could have a go yourself. But this is from a part 1 use of English where you have multiple choice and you have to choose the correct answer. So in this case, the researchers took into account factors such as family background. Bear in mind, keep in mind. Both of them mean to remember or to consider. Bear in mind is more formal and probably more likely to appear in the C1 exam. So bear in mind that prices may change. On account of, on no account. Okay, so they're very similar in how they look, very different in meaning. On account of means because of. The match was, we can use a phrasal verb from before, the match was called off on account of the rain. The match was cancelled because of, on account of the rain. Or you can have on no account. On no account means never. So on no account, should you give up? Stand a chance or stand no chance. And this collocation expression is related to possibility. Do I stand a chance of getting the job? Do I stand a chance of passing my C1 exam? He stands no chance of winning. Have a look at this one, number 14. The problem is that you would no chance of ever remembering those 20 letters. This is from an open close at part 2 of the use of English. The problem is you would stand no chance of ever remembering those 20 letters. And if you look at number 15 while we're here, the solution apparently is to come with 3 or 4 short unrelated words, and 16 work out, another phrasal verb. Find a solution, a way to remember them. I put number 15 in here because it's one of the phrasal verbs we saw before, to think of a solution, to think of an idea, to come up with. Transformation favorites. So these are things that are really likely to come up in the 4th part of use of English. The meaning of under no circumstances is never. Under no circumstances should you sign this. Under no circumstances is always followed by an inverted word order. So it would be under no circumstances, should, would, will. These would come before the subject. There's no point in. There's no point in means it's useless. There's no point in complaining. It's no good. It's no use. Both of these mean it's pointless. It's no use crying. It's no good worrying. There's just no point. Would rather and would prefer. These both talk about preference, things that you would like. I would rather comes with the bare infinitive. I would rather stay home. I would rather go on holiday. I would rather listen to music than watch a movie. Whereas would prefer is followed by the to infinitive. I'd prefer to stay home. I'd prefer to go on holiday. I'd prefer to listen to music. So try not to confuse those two. Have something in mind. So when you have something in mind, you think of something specific. Do you have anything particular in mind? Do you have anything in mind for dinner tonight? Here is an example of a part 4 use of English using this phrase. So the question is, what are you thinking of doing for the college's centenary celebration? The tutor asked the student. Your keyword here is mind. You need to use that to transform the second sentence. The tutor asked the students what for the college's centenary celebration. Again, take a moment, think about it. Could you get this answer right? Knowing that this phrase probably has something to do with it. The tutor asked the students what they had in mind for the college's celebration. Held in high regard. I see this one quite often. To be held in high regard is to be respected. The professor is held in high regard. Here you have another part 4 use of English example. Dr. Ramesh's colleagues regarded him so highly that they forgave his inability to remember people's names. You need to use held. See if you can give it a go, and bear in mind, which we saw earlier, that they've added emphasis here on how highly he was held in regard, so highly. So how would you get that so in there in the answer? Dr. Ramesh was held in such high regard by his colleagues. What else have we got? We've got here make a difference and make no difference. To make a difference to something or someone means you have an impact, whereas to make no difference is like, it doesn't really matter. Another part 4 use of English question. The other students don't mind whether you give your presentation on Thursday or Friday. If they don't mind, it probably doesn't really matter. So here we're using difference. The students, whether you give your presentation on Thursday or Friday. Give it a go. Oh, I forgot to put the answer for you here. Excellent. It makes no difference to the other students whether you give your presentation on Thursday or Friday. It makes no difference to. It doesn't matter. High time, another very popular one in C1 and C2 use of English. If something is high time, it's about time or it's overdue. It's high time you studied for your C1 exam. High time is always followed by the past tense. It's high time you, in this case, the person, studied. It's high time we went home. It's high time, past tense. Jenny felt she had stayed too long at the party. Jenny felt it, the party. Jenny felt it was high time we left the party. High time we left, past tense, the party. I'm gonna correct myself here and notice the mistake that I've made. Jenny is just one single person. She's talking about herself, so it should be Jenny felt it was high time she left the party, not we. No sooner means immediately after. No sooner had I arrived than it started raining. Give it a go. As soon as the tennis players went onto the court, it started raining. How could you stick had in there and no sooner? No sooner had the players came onto the court than it started raining. No sooner had something happened than something else happened. Not only, in addition to, or as well as, not only was it a terrible meal, it was expensive too. Your part 4 use of English example here, straight from a practice exam. The hotel wasn't just far from the sea, it was expensive too. Not way from the sea, it was expensive too. Not only was the hotel a long way from the sea, it was expensive too. And last section, here we're going to look at some fixed expressions. So here you've got 2 very common linkers that come up in all of the parts of the use of English. You've got despite the fact it was raining, or in spite of the fact it was raining. You can use either of these, but just make sure you get the prepositions right. Sometimes people say despite of. This is incorrect. With regard to, as regards, this is a formal way of saying about. With regard to your application, or as regards your application, you can also say in regard to your application. Instead of saying about your application, this is much more formal. Great to use in your writing as well. On the whole, overall, on the whole, it was a successful event. To some extent, partially, to some extent, you're right. More often than not, this is a good way of saying usually. It's much more advanced than saying usually, and it looks really good in your speaking, your writing, and like I said, this may come up in any part of the use of English exam. So more often than not, he arrives late. So there you have it, different phrasal verbs, different expressions and collocations that come up in the C1 exam. These are exactly the types of questions that you'll find in my free reading and use of English mock exam. You can download it from the link in my description. You'll get a full Cambridge C1 reading and use of English paper with tips for every single question. You'll also get sent the answers and a guide on how to grade yourself so you know exactly what mark you get at the end. I'll also send you a full bonus C1 listening test, plus the chance to upgrade and get your writing and or speaking checked personally by me. Like I said, you'll find the link for that freebie in the description. And if you're ready to take it one step further, I also have a 6 or 9 month program called the C1 Success Program, where I'll teach you everything you need to pass the Cambridge C1 exam with success. We'll have weekly meetings, monthly workshops, all of the writing and speaking corrections that you need to get you passing Cambridge with confidence. So the link to learn more about that will also be in the description of this video. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video helps you pass your Cambridge C1 exam.